Hello and welcome back to Goalie Interference. There he is, the one and only Mike McKenna of Daily Faceoff, busting his tail over there at Daily Faceoff. Like I every time I look up, there's another story, there's another video. Like, do you sleep at all, or what? How does this go? What is this?
You don't even know that I'm the volunteer goalie coach at the St. Lawrence University Skating Saints on top of all of this.
I'm
Okay,
well aware.
that's good. That's good. No, man, I tell you what, sleep is at a premium. I haven't done a lot of napping or riding my mountain bike, which I'd like to do. But you know what? I've been pretty good this week. I went to Philadelphia this past weekend, and I was there coaching the St. Louis Warrior hockey team. But I got to see my friends with the Vegas Veterans Warrior team.
Yes.
And I was so amped. Like Wolverine was there, my buddy Jay. Like, oh man, I was so excited to see these guys because, like, I had planned on spending a lot of time with the Warriors this year in Vegas and didn't get the chance to, but I got to see them in Philly. But it was a long weekend, man. Like the boys from Chicklets were there, and I know Biz and Whit pretty well from playing with Biz, and it was a long weekend. So I'm definitely happy to be home. And I
can only
imagine. I forgot to make the.
Oh man,
we gotta make it look pretty in here, you know.
How come you don't have a 9 on that yet?
There we go. So yeah, you mean a Cody Glass?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could have I guess you could have one of those. By the way,
they traded Glass.
Since the last time we spoke, they acquired a gentleman by the name of Jack Eichel, who cranked the siren yesterday, and everyone was all nervous about his neck. And I kept saying, well, if he's going to screw his neck up, now's the time. He's going to surgery on Friday, so might as well get that out of the way, right?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's I think if anything, I'm just glad that this whole saga's behind us. Okay, because like we can talk about it till we're
it's not behind us.
But like we can talk about till we're blue in the face of whether this was the right thing, the wrong thing to do for the team. The bottom line is Jack Eichel is now a Vegas Golden Knight.
Yep.
I'm not huge that they gave up Krebs. Yep. We've talked about this previously that I had concerns about Alex Tuch and his shoulder. I actually think that I'm very impressed with how little the Golden Knights gave up to get Eichel, to be honest with you.
For sure.
I think that they fleeced Buffalo. The vindictiveness of Buffalo to not retain any salary is pretty unbelievable. So
you thought there was actually a chance they would do it for 4 consecutive years after this one? Like, I just thought that was there's just no way. Like,
they could have gotten more for sure. I think if they would have done that. I mean, they weren't even at the salary floor, so they could have eaten this for a couple of years.
Yeah, but if you're a GM and you're looking at 4 years down the road, you can't have salary from a trade that you made because you need to be winning at some point. If they aren't winning at some point in the next 4 years, he's fired. So why retain the salary? Because you're going to need to win at some point. Like, I never thought that was even realistic at all. Even if the Golden Knights had asked, I don't think it was ever realistic.
It's only realistic because the Pagulas were so vindictive and didn't want to retain anything that had to do with Jack Eichel. You're looking at this through the prism of an expansion team that's crushed it since their inception as contended for Stanley Cups. 3-4 years worth of rebuild is what's happening in Buffalo. And you also can look towards Minnesota. They've got Ryan Suter and Zach Parise on the books, and that's a team that wants to win. So I do think there was some ability for them to massage that. I think it was just a straight up direct mandate from the top. We don't want anything to do with Jack Eichel anymore. So regardless of that, I am impressed with the job the Golden Knights did getting Eichel for what they did. I don't like getting rid of Krebs, but you do have to give up pieces.
Yeah.
And it is a long play, man. Like, this is going to take a little while, but like, how awkward did Eichel look when he showed up at, did he come into Red Rock? Is that where that was? I always try to figure out these lobbies,
Red Rock. Yep.
You know, before he probably made his way up to the presidential suite, like, he's a little shell-shocked, man. It's like, dude, you should have checked out the Twitter highlights as Mark Stone showing up.
He had mentioned that he did, actually. He said he knew, like, some of the different things that they were going to do, and he actually thought, like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I'm getting off easy here because they didn't get me at the airport. They didn't, and then, you know, that happens. And
they got him.
I mean, there's a little part of me that, like, it's a little hokey, a little bit. Like, I just feel like that's like, I liked what they did with Pacioretty. They put it all up all over the strip and kind of brought him down the strip and put him in the helicopter, and like that made it an experience. This is like almost like embarrassing the guy in a way. Like, I don't know. It's not my favorite.
It's to me, it's kind of like when you bring guys in with trades or signings and they basically get a fart noise, and here you go, here's a jersey.
Right. And then other guys get this.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about the culture where everybody's same and treated well and everything, like, no, man, there's a hierarchy to this.
Yeah.
And listen, dude, I get it. I totally get it. Like, you just got it. You made a huge splash. You got a big player coming in. You're trying to get some pub out of it. But I'm glad it's done 100%. I'm glad the Golden Knights have won some games on their road trip and then coming back at home. And we're going to dive into that here for sure. But man, they've gotten points with players out of the lineup, Ken. They do. The eye test isn't perfect.
No.
But it's also not the first period against Montreal.
Which is a game they won.
I know.
That's the crazy part.
So I'll give you the fun story on that game. I'm watching that. I'm in Philadelphia for that game. And I'm at a watch party for a Flyers game. So I came back and watched the game afterwards. Okay. Like, I got my whole setup and NHL and ESPN TV Plus and everything.
Yep.
And so I'm watching the Flyers game, having a great time, viewing party. I'm there with the boss, Frank Cervalli, from our team, or from Daily Faceoff. And, people like actually remembered me, Flyers fans, like the bum like me that played one game.
Of course they do. They're Flyers fans.
Yeah. But man, like, I look at this thing and I think, like, this can't be real. This can't be right. Like, shots are 20-1 right now. I'm like, what is happening? And then, like, I look back at 10 minutes later and it was 2-2. I just went, this is
kind of been their way the whole year in a way. Like, when they play okay. Yeah, when they play okay, they seem to get beat up on, like, special teams or weird situations or whatever, and then they don't play very well, and they somehow find their way back in, or a 6-on-5 goal in Dallas or whatever. Last night's game, I thought, was a big step in the right direction, and I guess the biggest part that I'm trying to weigh at this point is I saw 8 periods in a row that I liked. I know that it came off literally the worst period I think I've ever seen in Golden Knights history, but the 8 periods since have been excellent. And it got better and better and better. And I thought it culminated in last night, period 3. That's, I think, the best period they've played all season long. Seattle had nowhere to go, nothing to do. They were never coming back in that game once Vegas got out ahead. Game was over. The part that I'm trying to kind of wrestle with myself a little bit is, like, it's Seattle, Detroit, and Montreal. It's literally 3 of the worst teams in the league. Now, Detroit's playing better, and that's
Let's
the
not
one.
Lump Detroit in there. I think Detroit's
they've been playing better. You're right,
and
that's the one they lost, and that's one that they played okay and they lost, and, like, they lost that game by 3, really more like by 2. So, like, how much do you think it is Golden Knights taking major steps in the right direction, and how much is it who they're playing against is actually, turning those results in? Where you do that against Toronto, they did. You are down 4-0 quickly. Like, where do you come down on, like, competition versus how they're actually playing?
Well, it's a very fair question, and I think it's real. I think it is part of both. Like, it's at play on both sides here. But I just want to double back to one thing you said really quick about the Montreal game special teams. Okay. Golden Knights scored twice on the power play. They went 2 for 2, right? That won them the game. From coming out of the doldrums to flipping it around, that won them the game. And then they lost the next one. And they did. But that's kind of what they needed to jumpstart a bit. Beating Montreal, we talked about going into Ottawa. I expected that to be a track meet. Kind of. I mean, Ottawa doesn't defend well at all, but they were able to make it happen. They got their goals. I just feel like that game against Seattle kind of has some resiliency that we haven't seen before. Like, Seattle scores first and bang, they come back and they're able to score at the end of the period. And that got the Golden Knights right back where they needed to be. I didn't like the way they started in terms of, like, the physicality is still, it's kind of missing sometimes for the Golden Knights, and I don't mean that they need to be out there just like we used to see with the meat grinders, go out and just crush everybody nonstop. But I understand Seattle's a team that plays heavy, plays hard. That's part of what they're trying to build as an identity. I wasn't sure the Golden Knights matched that for the first, like, 10 minutes or so. But then they get the goal under a minute left. And again, you get to the second period and it started to trend towards the right way for the Golden Knights. Yanni Gourde scores. And this was the big thing for me, is immediate response.
That next shift. Yep.
Immediate response from Dadonov. And Like, and again, under a minute left in a period, those are back-breaking moments for a team.
Yep.
And from that point, they were all over them.
That's
And
old
I
school
think,
Golden Knights. That's what they
yeah, it
used to do.
is.
You give up
Right.
a goal, whack, we're going to hit you right back. And the other thing, they actually did it
And at
both of it.
home, you know.
And when you score, you get another one and another one and another one. Like that was what kind of built that expansion team. They scored one and it's like, well, there's blood in the water. Here we go. They did that last night against Seattle. It's the first time we've seen that in a minute.
Who was that commercial? Oh, he's the rapper musician. Another one. Another one. I can't remember who that was.
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled. Another
That's
one.
the one. I wish you wouldn't have done that, but you've done it now, and that's out there forever.
So I hope everybody's enjoying this.
I don't know what to make of that, but yeah, I guess like looking at that game, I don't particularly think this Seattle team is buttoned up in any way yet. I thought the Golden Knights actually approached that game in a way that I don't think that they've approached any of the other ones. I thought that was the first time I've really seen them have a team-specific approach. They're not attacking them in the neutral zone. They're not attacking them at the blue line. They understood, let's just keep them to the outside and we'll win in front of the goal. And once we do that, knock it to the side, we'll get our transition, we're going to get our chances, and we're going to score on this guy. I thought that they kind of had a team-specific game plan as opposed to let's play our game. And that's probably a better way to go. It's the first time I saw that. Pietrangelo kind of mentioned that later afterwards. I think that's kind of something that you want to see more of. But again, they were down by one. They were down 2-1. Like, they're down twice in a home game to Seattle, who's struggling to win. Like, they just blew a game against Arizona. I don't want to go overboard about that game being so much better, but there were some dramatic steps in the right direction, especially defensively. And that's the part I thought was most impressive, was no high danger chances in the third period. None.
Yeah, 100%. Like, they're just, I mean, we talked about the necessity of protecting middle ice last week. It has to happen. It's non-negotiable if you want to win in this league. And you got to do it at the right times. And, you know, you get to the third period and we got John coming in with another one.
Please don't do it again.
Oh, dude, it's just so good, man. It's so good. But I think that's where you're trying to build towards. You know, you're really trying to build towards taking care of middle ice, not allowing these big grade A chances. And I think too that there's a sense in my eyes that really the Golden Knights and Robin Lehner are starting to hit a stride together. And not that there's been any looseness before, but I mean, this is his net now, you know, and I think his teammates,
he's earned it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And even besides that, like, he's going to play no matter what. They're not tiring their wagon to LB. Like, it's Robin's net.
Not after the last game.
He was passive. Okay. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. I'm going to give a little goalie union on this one. We'll dissect that later, I'm sure. But there's a certain way that you learn about your teammates as a goaltender and vice versa, you know, and what Robin really, frankly, struggles with is puck going laterally in tight, any rebound opportunity that gets kicked out to the side. So his teammates know, hey, we've got to protect middle ice and let Robin make that first save. And once he does, we cannot let these passes go side to side, because league wide, that's the knowledge. Hey, grab a rebound, kick it out wide. Robin can't rotate. He struggles to move laterally. That's your chance. That is what happened on the first goal for Seattle last night, more or less the same thing. And I tell you what, Robin made a really, really good save as Johansson drove the net coming from the corner. Like, the Golden Knights gave the whole front of the net away. Okay. That was not ideal in how to start the game. He makes a really nice save, and he almost got the second one from Everly. Yep. So I think Robin's done he's done a better job of getting rotated and getting in front of things. He's also not ending up on his back and his stomach as often, I find. And part of that's both ways. He doesn't have to chase as often. But the more that he can push and get his whole body there, that's way more successful than just trying to reach your legs back to the post. And I mean, he had some saves. I'm trying to think. I think midway through the second period it was. I've got it in my notes somewhere, but it was a one-timer to the post. And Robin goes right to left. It was to his blocker side, and he hits the post. And there's just absolutely nothing for the one time, like nothing. And I went, okay, man, he's on. Like, his game is where it needs to be. Like, you have to hit your marks. hit the post, nice and tall, confident looking. Like he looked like he had that swag.
Are you
So
confident that the Golden Knights defensively are going to be able to keep this up? Like yes, it's been getting better. It's headed in the right direction. That is something that historically, when they were full strength, when they played teams like the Minnesota in the playoffs, Vancouver did it to them a number of times. They definitely had a bad, problem with it. Dallas and Montreal. They're not great at clearing the puck out of the front of their goal. That's never been what they've been all that good at. And while I think that's how Seattle wants to score, I don't think they're any sort of elite at it. Like, are you confident that they're suddenly like this focus on it is going to get much better?
Well, I don't want to be too negative because they have won, but I do have concerns.
6 of 8.
For sure. I do have concerns about, and it's not just lineup oriented. Okay. Like we're at the point now that you've been missing players long enough that this is kind of the team for the foreseeable future. I know Mark Stone skated, got a big cheer from everybody when he pounded a one-timer, but it's from the verbiage, at least, is there's still some time. He's still a ways off.
Seems to be a minute away. Yeah. I would be surprised if he plays in the next 5.
Right. So, I think that we're looking at a situation where there's still going to be growing pains. It's not going to be perfect, but I mentioned this to you earlier, like the D core has been pretty much set. Since Zach Whitecloud's been out, we're at the point now where it's still in Coghlan. He's going. And I've actually liked Coughlin's game the last several. I feel like he's improved and he's not forcing things as much. He's still a young player in the league. He doesn't have the same totals of everybody. He's still learning. He's still getting comfortable. And it helps that he's playing with Braden McNabb. This is a steady guy that
huge decision to put him there. Yep.
100%. And so playing with McNabb will give him a little bit of assurance that, hey, even if you jump up, I got you back. Okay. Yep. Like, and I mean, people don't know this about Coghlan, but like he took it really hard when he didn't make the team out of camp 2 seasons ago, I guess, like really hard. And because he'd had a huge year in the American League, like huge. Team goes to the Calder Cup finals. He's a big part of it. And he gets leapfrogged.
Yep.
And man, some players like never recover from that. Haig, Whitecloud, who were both, they both should be there. All of them should, but Coghlan didn't recover. And it took him a full season almost to kind of get his head back into it and focus on the task at hand. So I like his game. I'm still not as like comfortable as others, but I do like that they're rolling out for the most part the same 6D.
Yep.
And Alec Martinez is in the lineup. That scared the ever-loving shit out of me when Martinez was out of the lineup for a while. Because I think this is no secret to anybody. I think he is top 3 most valuable players on the team, top 4. I believe that. I guess it's hard to argue that.
I'd go a little bit lower, at least this year. I think last year, I would have said a little bit higher. I think this year, he hasn't quite been quite at the same level. And some of that's probably Shea Theodore's blame because Shea hasn't been himself at this point. And they're saying, he's injury and missing camp and he's coming around. Like, to me, the word camp is like ridiculous. Like that was, I don't even remember what, that's so long ago. I think I had hair when they were in camp. It's so long ago at this point. Like I look at Theodore and it's just like the number of giveaways, like passes that just weren't making it. But it fumbles at the blue line, like inability to carry the puck. There seems to be like a hesitation to not want to be himself. Like how many times have you seen him make the electric skating play? It just hasn't happened. And I think a lot of that has to do with the system. It feels like it's been almost since the bubble, it really. And the bubble was when their system wasn't fully in place. They had kind of a hybrid system at that time. So, Theodore's whole baby was get the puck, skate that thing, and now the whole objective of the defense for the Golden Knights really is to get the puck to the forwards now, immediately, and let them go. And let F1 push the D back, F2 and F3 collapse to the middle. And maybe if you're the D, you're going to pick up that puck up in the second wave. Well, get up. You need to be there in the second wave. That's the whole of their offense is you better be there in the second wave. 100%. But that's not necessarily where Theodore's at his best. Like just getting the puck on his stick and firing at the net as the second wave isn't his honey hole. His honey hole is carrying it across the blue line and dancing around a guy. What was that word? Honey hole? Oh, yeah. That's a Kevin Dineen special. Honey hole.
Oh yeah, honey hole, like like the Berenstein Bears, man. You go to the honey hole.
The only time
Get
I've
some
ever
honey.
heard honey revolving this team has had to do with keeping the bee or the flies off the honey, which is why they overpaid for Ryan Reeves for a few years. I
Remember
don't
that? Say rather he the bees off the honey. I remember
the bee,
that.
no
Yeah.
flies. It was
Or
flies
flies,
off
sorry.
the
Flies
honey.
off the honey. The
So
bees
now there's
make the
a
honey, Mike.
hole.
It's
So is there flies in? I'm so confused.
well, this
How
isn't
does the honey hole interact with the flies now?
man, now I've got all kinds of things going through my head from the 1990s. I'm thinking about like Flies in the Vaseline, the Stone Temple Pilot song. I'm thinking about Jar of Flies, the Alice in Chains EP that has that unbelievable I Stay Away and Nutshell songs on it. I mean, we're digging here.
I mean,
See, this is what happens. This is what people didn't get to see of me on AT&T is squirrel, like, and I just go off on tangents. So back to the task at hand. What do we want to talk about next?
Shea Theodore has not gotten what is it? Shea Theodore's honey hole is
His honey.
I don't want to talk about somebody's honey hole, to be completely honest.
You just
I don't
took
want
it
to think
in a
about Shea
very.
Theodore's honey
That's
hole.
that's a disturbing direction you went.
That's not for me.
Okay, but no, Theodore to me is best when he has the puck on his stick and gets to carry the puck. And I'm not sure that the system really plays into that. I think Petrangelo's eating up some of his glory in some ways. Like this
hang on, what is this? Named after a beehive for its honey, honey hole is slang for a location that yields a valued commodity or resource. A local landmark or road near a honey hole may have a honey hole in its name or as a nickname for a muddy spot. So,
do I need to say anything
you're
more?
Using that term right.
I could care less. I just like Kevin Dineen's the guy I went to for that. Kevin Dineen, I'll tell you a quick story on him, okay? I promise we're going to get back, but we're here to entertain as well. Kevin Dineen, who he's the head coach now of the Utica Comets. He was the head coach of the San Diego Gulls in the American Hockey League last year, flipped teams. I had him in Portland,
Maine. Arena.
Yeah, I had him in Portland, Maine as coach of the Portland Pirates. He's been a head coach in other places in the NHL and Florida since. Well, Dineen used to have us practice. We'd play 3 games in 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'd do that in the American Hockey League pretty often. He'd have us come in on Monday and practice. And the reason being is that we would have the rest of Tuesday and Wednesday off. So we would, so we get the rest of Monday and Tuesday off. You would essentially get almost 2 days off to recover. And you could pretty much do what you wanted Monday night and spend all day Tuesday recovering if necessary. But the funniest part about Dino is that he would tell us always, I don't care what shape you're in, just be on the ice at 10 o'clock Monday. And some of those Monday practices were an absolute atrocity. And this was 2007. But
that never happens anymore. That's
never. I tell you what, I did get some
Didn't
teams.
happen.
No, I did get some teams to let us practice on Monday, so we'd get a couple days off. Essentially, that was valuable. But those practices were a joke. But man, they were funny, and like guys would be shooting pucks at each other's feet. And I think I played forward in one of them, if I remember right. Like it was.
How'd that go?
Fun. I'm a serviceable forward. I always played it in the summertime, but that's at like a beer league level. That's not at a professional level. So. I think the term drill wrecker probably accurate in my case.
What was your honey hole when you played forward?
Oh, dude, I can drill the puck. I mean, I can't skate.
In the honey hole.
Vision's okay, but I tell you what, you get me that. I get the backswing going, tickling the scoreboard, man.
Don't twirl your stick. So. You are going to piss off the Golden Knights so much if you twirl your stick right now.
That's bulletin board material.
They will cancel you.
So yeah.
I think now's a good time to tell you that this show is brought to you by the Jimerson Law Firm. The Jimerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, 6 out of 8 Golden Knights. Winning has mattered, 14 points, above 500. Call the Jimerson Law Firm. And if you haven't called the Jimerson Law Firm for any of your legal needs, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing things right, and you're not supporting goalie interference in a way that you need to. So please do that. They are fantastic. Jim is a fantastic. Jim's dad, Jim, is also fantastic. All the Jimersons are fantastic people. Let's move on to another kind of topic that came up last night that I'm not really sure why this was the main topic of conversation in the middle of the press conference last night, but it was like, when you start getting players back, which doesn't seem all that soon, but here we go. When that happens, like, how are you going to be able to integrate them into the roster? How quickly are they going to pick up? Because they've made it pretty clear some of these system changes, and you're definitely seeing it in the neutral zone if you know what you're looking for. They're not exactly, second nature at this point. I think in time they will, and I think they're getting better. As you put William Karlsson back in, Max Pacioretty back in, Mark Stone back in, like, are you expecting it to just keep going seamlessly like it is, or do you expect some of the inconsistency to return?
I think that they've been good about, in general, folding people back in the lineup when they're ready instead of rushing them, because time at this point, because they have continued to get points, time is on their side. You got to hope that the Golden Knights keep piling up points, because if they start to get into a bit of a hole and then you start rushing players back, that can kind of be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Mark Stone thinks the game at a super elite level. I mean, we see how he plays. He's not a graceful skater or anything, but like, man, how he can find lanes and move pucks. I think he'll process everything like that.
Yep.
And, to me, Max Pacioretty, it's almost kind of doesn't matter, because it's just give him the puck and let him score. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm kind of looking more towards.
You need to defend. He's going to be out there against some of the best players, so he's going to have to be better.
He will, but I'm looking at Karlsson. Karlsson just wasn't really going, man, at first. And so I'm thinking for him, I'd see kind of hesitancy when I hadn't seen it before. And I'm wondering how it is for him. Nolan Patrick, who knows? If he's coming back, I don't even know.
Skated.
So, he skated, right? But
I don't know what that means.
We never know what that
means. On the other rink, they came in, Mark Stone jumped on the ice and joined practice, and everyone banged their sticks.
I'm surprised they weren't wearing like camouflage, or like when a new car comes out that they're testing and it's got, you ever seen one of those in Car and Driver? And they like paint the car all weird with like designs and patterns, so you can't tell what it is. See what I did? I did it again. I went off on a tangent.
What a new car is if the paint color is not exactly the same. Like, what is that?
I think in terms of the system, they'll be okay with it. I think it's just a matter of knocking some rust off. That it's going to take a game or two for sure.
And getting points are going to matter. They have to keep getting points. You've got 14 in 12, or what is it? 14 and 12 games. You're fine. It's 14 and 13 games. You're fine. But a lot of them, and I brought this up on a tweet a little while back, and everyone gets mad at me when I bring up negative stats, but the games they've lost, they've played against good teams. The game they've won, they've played against shitty teams. So as they play against better teams, maybe it's going to be different. And like, you got some tough ones coming up here. It's not exactly an easy road the rest of this 5-game homestand. No. So we'll see as they get guys back in. The one part that I'm interested in is, like, where does everyone slot back in? Obviously, I would assume Stone goes right back up to where he was, but Karlsson's the interesting one, because Nick Wass played great there. This is probably the best we've seen out of Nick Wass, and it's a step forward off of where we had seen him best before, which was with Alex Tuch, which is never happening again. Yeah. I wonder if maybe you do take this moment. Chandler Stevenson's been dragging along Chandler or Will Carrier. Like, maybe take that step now and throw Will Karlsson in there with Stone and Pacioretty. Maybe that works. I don't hate that idea. That's probably going to have to be your line when Eichel gets here.
Well, they've done it previously. I mean, we've seen Karlsson go between Stone and Pacioretty
very shortly.
But it happened for a while.
It wasn't long.
I do, but we're looking at past familiarity. It's at least there. It's in the toolbox. I'd be really hard pressed to bump Stevenson off where he's been in terms of minutes and playing. Nick Waugh, though, to me, has been a pleasant surprise for the team, because he's, look at the underlying stats. Like, he's shooting at a normal percentage, and he's like, he's not missing the net like he used to. He's scoring. He's really been the one guy who's thrived into an unexpected level for me. But he's such an interesting player, because, like, when I played against him, I always thought, this guy plays hard. He plays direct. I loved his game when he was with the Charlotte Checkers. Obviously, they went and they
went to the Golden Knights.
Yeah, enough. Him and Patrick Brown. By the way, Patrick Brown would be playing a lot of minutes right now if he was still
Decaf too.
He hadn't been claimed on waivers. What's that?
Zekov too.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't be now, but
No. I'm not saying he was playing, but he was on that Charlotte Checkers team, and like the quote that I'll never forget about that Charlotte Checkers team is the reason they got Nick Waugh because nobody can beat him in a face-off.
Yeah. Well, he was okay in faceoffs. He's 50% right now, a little bit below that in the NHL. But like he'll have one or two games straight, or even one or two periods straight, where I'm just like, man,
this guy's
like,
awesome.
He's getting it. And then he'll just go, and I love the guy. Nice as could be, works his ass off, but he'll just go brain dead. Like he'll just completely become puck focused and lose track of everything on the ice, whether for one shift or a period.
Yep.
And it's like he just completely loses it. Like nothing works. And I've seen less of that this year, but I can't figure it out, because he's a player that, like, the tools are there. He's a bona fide NHL player at this point. Yeah. He's a proven commodity. He's not a winger, I'll tell you that. Like, this is a guy that's got to play center for me. I don't think that Nick Waugh, if he's not a center, I don't see where he fits in my lineup if I'm putting the lines together, unless you have to put him in straight up. But the way the Golden Knights are, they need bodies. So, we're digging, man. Like, Cotter gets his first game. Lucian's playing regularly. Like, these are guys who would not be called up. They would not be called up.
Finally got yanked out. It's been awful.
And so I'm not like those guys as prospects are 2-3 years away from what I thought any opportunity.
But where is Nick Waugh if you suddenly decide, okay, everything's going back to normal? Now Nick Waugh's playing with Will Carrier and at best Matthias Janmark. Speaking of which, what happened to the directness there? I was all excited when they first got him. Like, you talk about direct player, Matthias Janmark was it. And then all of a sudden it's gone. It's just gone. It's not there at all. Like, it is. I think you're going to get less out of Nick Waugh and probably a lot less out of Nick Waugh if you chuck him back down on that third and fourth line. In which case, then we start asking the question, how deep is this team?
Well, I think in my eyes, if this team's at full capacity, you go Eichel, Karlsson, Stevenson, Waugh. I put Waugh fourth line center. Right. I think he's an excellent fourth line center. I think that's great. I think that at full strength for the team, that's a really strong lineup down the middle for me. Truly is.
For the first time ever.
And I mean, even Nolan Patrick, man, like I still believe that there is a level to Patrick that can be reclaimed. It's just these injuries, though. Like, I know he's skating everything. It makes you so nervous knowing he's missed an entire year before, not having a clue what's hurting him. We have no idea. And that's bothersome. Like, I know you don't want to disclose things, but how can you not make it? I mean, listen to me right now. I don't have a clue. So I'm thinking the worst.
Yep. We all are.
Okay, and that's what
even
happens.
When McCrimmon kind of came out to Dave Shane on the Review Journal and was like, yeah, we don't think it's going to be affecting his long-term future. And then 7 days later, after they say that, it's like DeBoer saying, well, he's not trending in any direction. It's kind of just, it is what it is. Like, I don't know how we can't be afraid of what's going on there.
Yeah, and that's, I know that, you're looking at Patrick to come in and be a reclamation project to make a difference. You gave up a tangible asset in Cody Glass, but Cody Glass also hadn't really cracked the NHL lineup. Yep. So in some ways, you kind of have to toss out the draft status of these two players.
Hard to do.
And it is, but
it is. I know
But like, once the ship sails, it sails, man. And it's like, you got a number 2 overall draft pick for a guy who probably is going to be an NHL tweener for a while in Glass. Like, unless his skating picks up and unless he starts shooting the puck from places he needs to.
But the guy you got is maybe that too.
Could be. I mean, but I've played with Nolan Patrick when that guy has been a sick NHL player. Okay, yeah. It happened. It has happened, and that's kind of the difference you have. I'm pumping Cody Glass in here just to see what's happening. I mean, he's got 8 assists in the American League right now for Milwaukee. Good. That's great. I mean,
he always had points in the American League. He doesn't.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many guys I played with in the Iron League and the American League that were good American League players. That's what they were.
Nothing there. Yeah.
Glass is 6th overall pick. They're going to have to try to make him work. He's exactly the type of player that scouting staffs would look at and say, we have to make this work.
This is the guy.
We are going to give this guy endless opportunities. until they don't anymore, and then it's somebody else's problem. So
thank you, Nashville.
I don't know. I don't know for him. I hope, man. I hope.
I don't have super high expectations on Nolan Patrick, but again, I don't think it's the end of the world if he doesn't end up being something. I do worry and wonder, like you said, Nick Waugh has to be a center. If Nolan Patrick comes back, are they going to push Nick Waugh out to the side? Like I don't know.
I don't think you can.
Let me bring Jason up for this real quick because I have something. It was, I think 2 weeks ago we were going through some of your cards on Twitter there or on eBay, and look at this. I own this card. I am now the sole owner of this very card.
Oh man, that baby's got to be.
In his third appearance, McKenna picked up the first shutout and victory of his NHL career. He turned back 28 shots against the Islanders on February 7th, 2009. Height 6'3", weight $187. Now, where's that now?
Well, I tell you what. First off, it was all downhill after that win and shutout. That never happened again. A couple of wins, but no more shutouts.
Yeah, you could kind of tell by the stats on the top here: 3.56 goals against. 0.8.
I'd like you to go back and look at the analytics of that team. We sucked. we dressed a guy out of college on an ATO. Okay, our team ran out of money, and we got paid by three different payroll providers. And at one point, we're told us, "Oh, the checks are coming." We sold off every asset by the end of the year when I was there. So, like, I know I'm making excuses for this. I probably wasn't ready for the NHL at that point, but we sucked. So
February 7th, 2009, though.
Yeah,
donuts.
So that was the high water mark. I'm actually 6'2". I've never been 6'3". I have no idea where that came from.
Fleer disagrees.
Yeah, well, good. That probably got me a contract at some point in my life.
This is a gold medallion ultra rookie card.
I'm disappointed you didn't go for the auto.
Yeah, and I'm running about 196 these days.
Why do I'll take care of that myself. I mean, I feel like he should be charging me to autograph this card after what I paid for this. How much do you think I paid for this on eBay, by the way?
I'm not going to offend Mike, but I'm going to say around $385.
I was going to guess about $250.
all in with shipping, $2.89. It was so worth it. It was so worth it.
You went over, Jason. That was the Price is Right challenge. I'm going up and playing for the car.
I'm pumped to have this. Let me throw Jason out of here. We're going to bring David up real quick. David, what's up, buddy?
Dave,
how you doing? Look at this. Man. Look at this headset. You are prepared.
I'm ready to come on.
We got Fortnite coming next. What's up?
Yeah, I was just thinking about when Eichel comes in and you have to clear the cap. Do you think they would get rid of Pacioretty because he takes up $7 million? And I don't think they would want to get rid of a center. I think they want a winger to go.
I don't think Pacioretty is going to be the guy, especially how they're pumping up that top line. I mean, they're already making T-shirts for it. I think at this point.
What? I want a T-shirt. Marketing that's never going to happen.
Not that marketing doesn't matter for these things, but I do still worry about some of the misfit guys. Like I've had this thought process in my head for the whole time that I really think Riley Smith is a guy who's going to be on the block if you have to clear space. No, and part of it's because he's playing so well. You know, it's not a throwaway contract. You can actually get a tangible return, a pick or two for him.
You know what my fear is there, though? You know where you have to trade an expiring contract that's playing well, too, at the deadline, right?
Who cares who you're trading it to?
A good team. He's going to beat you in the playoffs.
No, you can't. You see, that's you cannot let that gather.
Now,
they did.
People get fired.
Now, here's the thing. I do think about the rumors that were out there about Pacioretty earlier. A couple of summers ago, and I've thought this all along.
That's all it is. They just hate Alan Walsh.
I really do think, though, that there is something of a belief, and this is completely me guessing. Like, Patches probably hate me for this. Okay,
I will take this as absolutely accurate information. I am on the edge of my seat. I'm writing a story tomorrow saying this is a fact. Go.
Okay. I'm guessing, I'm projecting, I'm just trying to read tea leaves. I really wonder if the front office has a real fear that Pacioretty can't stay healthy, that he won't be available in playoffs. That's where I can see that being entertained for the right price. Maybe. But on a team that struggled so heartily to create and score, Pacioretty's still one of the top end pure goal scorers in the National Hockey League. Probably top 10 in the National Hockey League in terms of just straight up goal scorers. I don't think that Kelly McCrimmon could let that go going into playoffs and then watch the team struggle to score again. I just don't think it could happen. So
can we get another one of those gifs of McPhee getting super angry in the press box? That was fun.
And then the NHL coming down for not having masks on. Was that the one?
We got in trouble for that too, but that's a different story.
Yeah. So I understand your thought process on it for sure. And that big dollar figure is real. I don't think Pacioretty's going to be the guy. I don't think so.
Yeah, I can understand, but I also think of how he failed to score in the playoffs last year and the year before that. So I don't know.
David, do you think fans get pissed off if they trade him? Like if he's the one that goes, like, do you think fans are more upset about that, or if it's Riley Smith or Marchessault or Carlson or somebody like that, Theodore?
Well, I think people are going to be upset if you break up the misfit line. Well, I think the misfit line, because it's what's been producing the most offense in the playoffs last year, and now I think they don't want to break that up, and it's harder to sell someone like Riley Smith because his contract is expiring.
Yeah, that's a shirt I'd buy, by the way. If you're going to sell a shirt of a line, give me the Misfit line shirt. Thanks, David.
Well,
appreciate
hold
it.
on. I got one for David here. I got one for you that I want to ask, okay?
I'm trying to throw him out. What an ass I am.
Oh, no, I'm keeping him.
Jeez.
So here's my question for you, David. The Vegas Golden Knights fan base has been through a lot, okay? There's favorite players have been moved out. Who amongst this current group, if that player were to get traded, would send even more people over the edge? Like who is the most loved player on the Golden Knights right now that if they were to get traded, fans would be even baddier than they already are about some of the moves that have been made? Who do you think that is?
Carlson, I think, is one. Carlson, Marchessault, Lehner. I think those are my three pretty much.
Yeah.
This guy.
I think Carlson's the main one that, like, he's been there. He's been one of the top offensive guys for the Golden Knights since they became a team. So
yeah, I mean, he was, 40 goals, 40 plus tucks that first year. Signs a team friendly contract. That would really sting.
Back into a team friendly contract.
Yeah.
Let's get that right.
And then told that he's expected to win two.
So that he would sign the team friendly contract.
And then told that he's expected to win 2 Stanley Cups before it's up.
Getting married.
No pressure.
World fairly soon. Yeah, I wanted to ask Eichel about that, and I couldn't get that in. I want to know how many cups Foley demanded out of Eichel. It's got to be like 6.
Maybe. Well, he's got
4-year contract.
I want 6. A few more years on the end. Wow. All right. Well, thanks, David. Those are good questions, man. Appreciate your insight from a standpoint.
What if I had more? I don't. All right. Let's bring Jason back in. So, before we go any further,
I think it's Marshy, by the way. It's definitely Marshy show.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's got so much.
How is this SinBin.vegas beard? I don't. How? Like, I don't. There's nothing here.
Dark.
No, it's like 4 days or something. I don't know.
You got some Just for Men in there.
Well, here's the thing. Abby gets excited.
I think Marchessault's the guy. I think Marchessault's the biggest one. Then Carlson, interchangeably. Anyway, carry on.
What if they get rid of both? Theodore more so. Do your Abby will find like a gray hair in my beard, and she gets all excited about it. And I'm like, what is this? Like, do you have that?
I mean, if I see one in my beard, I'm getting tweezers and I'm pulling it out.
Oh, dude,
that's what I do. I'm like,
I run it. This is
like it.
Oh, yeah. Silver Fox, dude. I run it. I found my first gray hair when I was 17.
What?
Yeah. And not like a lot. I found one and I just went, what the hell is going on? I thought it was just like one of those weird, like gray streaks or something, and it wasn't. It was real. And
you pull it out
at that point.
Did you save it?
To run it. I made a wish.
He saved it like a business's first dollar.
I put it in a little capsule and buried it.
Yeah, I need it. You know how much I could sell this card for if we get that in there?
DNA card. Yeah.
DNA. No, I'm not selling my DNA for anything.
That's like $28 I could probably get.
So actually, you know what? I'm on a random tangent, but I want to just pull this down real quick because this
We don't do random tangents on this
You
show.
stop it. You.
By the way, you nailed it with Jar of Flies. Nailed it.
Thank you. Look at
Oh,
this.
yes. Look at that.
Integrity
Look at
Chrysler, Dodge Jeep Rainbow 15,
That is
Vegas
glorious.
What a
Wranglers.
beautiful logo.
Reebok. Imagine in
56.
Reebok. What? That's such a terrible brand. I'm sorry, Reebok.
Man, they listen. I know the Silver Knights is cute and it connects, but imagine that logo right now. I think fans would love to see that old logo. Oh, look at that.
This was
That
so
was
sick.
nice. That is
It's
nice.
beautiful.
That is
Oh.
nice.
My first year I wore 29, and then I went to 56. So
29 is a pretty good number in Vegas.
is it?
Now that would piss people off. They trade William Karlsson
Who
and
the hell wore
acquire
29 in Vegas?
somebody else and wear 29. Yeah, you were the original 29. Anyone else who wore 29 after was a bum.
Can you imagine when they eventually give 29 to somebody?
Oh,
They're gonna do it.
Yeah,
3 or 4 years, no?
Oh, it's
I
gonna
don't
be a
know
minute.
I don't know the answer, but that's going to sting. You know what? It's actually funny. Like when I was with Dallas, they gave me 35, which Marty Turco wore there. And Marty Turco is a pretty legendary guy, but they've been giving out 35 kind of nonstop in Dallas. So that
What's
was a strange one
NWO?
for me.
I don't
What's
know.
that?
What is NWO Zach Whitecloud? I don't understand this corn stalker. That's a name that confuses me and
Well, I
scares
believe
me.
this is a wrestling reference from
Oh,
the
Yeah,
old,
okay.
can we,
WCW.
oh God, no Macho Man. No, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Oh God.
Yeah.
I did pull
No,
out
I
full
don't do
Macho
the
Man on
woo.
Halloween.
Okay,
I actually re-pierced my ear the day before Halloween. That was a good one. It was good. It was around-
re-pierced your ear.
Yeah, it was around the campfire.
When did you first pierce your ear and why?
18 pierced both my ears. 14
So
Yeah,
gauge.
so my-
so you had a gray hair, and then like within 12 months, you're like, God, I gotta pierce my ear.
Yes, that's exactly what the thought process.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The
I
worst
ran
part,
them for
Mike-
like, huh?
Sorry, I was going to say the worst part, and I don't know if it's true for you, but my holes still exist. It's been like 20 years since I put something in them.
Well, that was kind of like how it was. Like I wore these. I never wore like earrings while I played or anything, right? Like they were just. I mean, I'm just so metal,
Nobody
man.
believes
I'm just
you.
so metal. It hurts. Like just maiden.
No one
like,
believes you for a second, but
And
go on.
so, we can talk metal. But so I got these done at like 18 years old, put them through, and I wore them for probably like 5-6 years at least. And I just kind of stopped wearing them. Basically, it's a typical deal. But my right side, I could still get them through. And I was like, man, this is ridiculous. My right side's good, but my left is closed up. Like what if I want to wear earrings for a Halloween costume? Or maybe I want to get festive. I don't know. Maybe I want some studs. I was like, and I was talking to my neighbor the night before Halloween around the campfire. It just kind of turned into like, well, let's do this. Let's fix this.
No.
and so I'm back. They're both back, and not that I'm.
goodness. So next
Not that
show
you're gonna like
you're
see
gonna
me on air. I mean, I'll put them in for next show for the
Get
fun
some
of it.
get some studs. Show your wealth.
I think, I'm wealthy, but I'm not rich. But yeah, like I don't know. It's just kind of one of those funny campfire things, and
I need earrings. I need like a massive gold chain, and then I need you to redo the DJ Khaled thing that you did earlier.
Whoa.
Another
do
one.
that. All right,
Hey,
let's get back to the Golden
let's
Knights
move on.
quickly.
That's
here.
right.
The goalie situation. Robin Lehner plays every single night. It's basically been written numerous amounts of times that it's like you play your goalie over 55, 60 times. They don't perform as well in the postseason. The Golden Knights seem like they're headed right back down this same path. Like, how concerned are you of Laurent Brossoit does not have a good game? They lose the game in many ways because of his not so good game, that all of a sudden is going to buy Robin Lehner the next 10 of the 11 or so.
I don't think it's as indicative on just one game of Brossoit. I mean, remember his first game that he played this year?
He was great.
Fantastic. He was
But
fantastic.
this is the Golden Knights. This
we
is the
can't-
Golden Knights. This is the Boar.
We can't hang our hat on one game.
We
and
can't, but we can say that they're gonna.
Well, that's what fans do. That's what everybody
No.
does. We hate People hate goalies unless they're Marc-Andre Fleury.
I don't like goalies. You ruin the game.
I told you.
It's
That's what I
more
mean. People
fun when
hate
the puck
goalies.
goes behind you. Stop blocking him. You ruin the game. See how much fun it was last night when Drieger couldn't catch?
That's just because you don't have the
Oh,
guts to stand in there and face this thing. I want to put you in full gear.
I don't have
The
guts to do it.
Petrangelo goal was terrible. I don't know how he didn't find that shot. And it's easy to say, oh, he was screened, but it was a floater from the point with one person in front of him. It's on you to find that shot. You have to work hard in advance to get it. The Riley Smith credited goal that I believe
not
it was
his goal.
Theodore shot from the point. I've watched it though from like 20 different angles and different times, and I really do wholeheartedly believe that it changed trajectory at Smith's stick. And I don't know if it happened by magic or an air current or what it was. I know
They
Smitty
still
said
have
didn't.
it for Smith.
Like Smitty said it didn't touch his stick, but I'm watching it and it
lying.
looks like it.
He
So
knows he touched it. He's lying.
I think he did, and it changed it. So that one looked horrible. I also didn't like Drieger's positioning on it to start with. So there's a couple other things there. But going back to Brossoit, he just to me looked like somebody hadn't played in a long time, and that plays into this. Like you do need to play people decently often to keep them sharp because Brossoit just looks so passive. You know, he's deep in his net. He's not reacting, and like if guys get beat clean by a shot, I want to see him at least move. I can't stand seeing school goalies where they just, I'm in position, drop, oh, it went past me, you know, or you're not finding pucks behind the net. Next thing you know, you're not in a perfect position on your post and it banks in off you. It just looked like a lazy game from them. But I've been there before. Here's the thing. I've been in those shoes before where you haven't played in a while and you're just thinking, all right, I don't want to overdo this. I just need to go out there, play, not be too aggressive. But he took it too far. And I think he'll be fine. But to your point, I do think he needs to play some more hockey here. And I think that Pete DeBoer has historically rolled a goalie. That's been his thing. Until that goalie sucks, he's rolled him.
Unless he's Marc-Andre Fleury, in which
he had
case
a weird. He had a weird. Well, he didn't trust Marc-Andre in the first place. He trusted Robin Lehner.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he can be awesome. He can be the Vezina winner, and it's like, he messed up once. Get him out of there.
He didn't trust him. I mean, he has memories of, San Jose beating the Vegas Golden Knights in a game that we will not speak any further of. We've done this a couple times. But
wait, what's the confidence? What's the confidence level about from a guy who's sitting all the time? He's 1-1, and he doesn't know when he's going to get the next game because, frankly, in his coach's eyes, he didn't play well. I would assume his confidence can't be too high.
Oh, it's not a fun place to be. Like, it's a fun place to be in the NHL and make your money, but you're also thinking, like, I would have to have imagined that Brossoit signs his contract thinking I'm going to play more than 2 out of 13 because he was at a critical juncture of his career where it's make it or break it to show that you can start games in this league. And right now, unless Lehner gets hurt, he is never going to start games. He's not going to steal that. And so, I would have expected him to play more, and I still think that you've got a situation coming up with games almost every other day. Like, toss LB that game against Vancouver coming up, like give Lehner 4 days off, let him rest a bit. Like, that's a pretty hard stretch of hockey going into Carolina. I don't think you're going to see LB play 2 games in a row, but he just looked rusty. And I do think I don't think you have to worry. I don't think worry is the right word, but it's been a while since Robin played a big bulk of games. His high watermark was 59 games in Buffalo in 2017. And he played great that season. But I just don't think that you want to run a guy that hard when you don't have to. That's what I think. Like,
I feel like you do have to. But
this is the self-eating cycle here where you just think, I have to play him. And then you get to the point where it's like, oh gosh, what did we do?
Yep.
Only caveat that I can, the caveat I can see here is this big Olympic break. And I think that coaches are looking at this thinking like, we can run these guys into the ground. Their pro athletes are going to get 3 weeks off.
Isn't he going?
Lehner's going.
It's not a guarantee. I mean,
he's going.
Markstrom and Lehner.
Lehner's not going to go unless he's starting. He told, like, he was on the Chirp with Darren Millard a couple weeks ago, and he said straight up, more or less, like, in veiled words, like, I'm not going if it's not worth my time, which means if he's not starting, he's not going. Okay, take his time off, do whatever.
What is that like? Can we not read into that? What the hell is that?
Well, that's mean, and like I think I deserve to start. I should start. I want to be there and start. And if I don't, you guys can take a hike. So,
so he's
I'm
sending
sure
a message.
Sweden's thrilled about that.
Yeah, he's sending a message to Team Sweden then.
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, he's telling them like I'm here to play. I want to play. Regardless,
Then they're going to play him at the beginning.
I really think it's a thought process, though. The coaches are thinking like we're going to run him up until this break, and we'll see what happens. I think you got to play LB more. I do, and I'm not talking about every third start.
4,
but I think it's got to be back into that traditional 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3.5.
Yep.
Like, man, you got to like you just can't run a guy so hard.
And he played great the game. He stole a game. He's the only reason why they won one of their 6 games or 7 now.
And man, like
I don't see why he wouldn't play.
Lehner's been awesome.
Isn't it a waste of money? I mean, you spend 2 point whatever on him, and he's only playing twice in 13. I mean,
could have given that to Mike.
No,
yeah, right.
Tell you what, I'd have taken that in a hard.
I know.
I'd eat pucks all day long.
You could have played twice.
I will say this: I don't think it's a waste of money because that's your market value. And when you look at goalies that are making league minimum, you could have been stuck with Carter Hutton,
Martin Jones.
You know, but if you're going to run out Lehner 60 times, what's wrong with Carter Hutton?
Because here's the thing: if Lehner gets hurt and you got to go to Hutton, you're in one. And LB to me is somebody that has a way higher mark than Hutton at this point.
So you're afraid of missing the playoffs before the season starts.
You have to have somebody that you think can do it, but you got to play them. I do think that we got to see a couple starts out of this next couple.
The whole thing doesn't jive to me. There's half of it saying like we need to have a good backup just in case we get into a situation where he's injured, and we need to be able to win these games on the back-to-backs and all of this. And then you go into a season where everything else gets injured, and you're like, no, we can't play him. We can't afford to possibly. Well, then he's not worth $2.3 million if you can't play him more than 2 out of 15 whatever games it's going to be. Like, I mean, I don't understand how these two things are connected.
I'm looking at this schedule, and here's how I'd play it. Let's just do that. I'd play LB against Vancouver on the 13th, and then I'd come right back on the 20th and play him against Columbus.
Yep.
And I'd do that with the reasoning that you'd be giving Lehner 4 days between Minnesota and Carolina. That's a great break. He needs it. He's played a lot. And then I think you go with that Columbus game because you give Lehner 3 days before St. Louis. There's travel involved. And then he can go again against Nashville. And my reason being is that's an easy flight. St. Louis to Nashville, it's up and down. That travel's nothing. There's a day in between. You go Lehner, St. Louis, Nashville, and then you come home. Leonard's ready for Edmonton because there's 2 days in between there.
But what if you're struggling to get to that Columbus game? He's going to go right back to Lehner.
Well, I'm telling you what I'd do. All right, and
you're regardless of results. You don't care if they lose to Minnesota, LB comes in, they lose to Vancouver, Lehner comes back, they lose to Carolina. Like you're still one win against.
I stick with a plan. I stick with a plan.
Yeah. If I'm doing that's what I think they should do. But that obviously is not happening.
And you start going with the hot hand type of thing, like it starts to get sideways. If you're paying these guys what they are, I do think that there's a bit to it. I think that just playing until you lose a game, I'm not in on that. But I do think that there's definitely there's real. Well, that's every coach thing. Okay, that's 2/3 to 3/4 of coaches. They don't understand goaltenders. They just think, he keeps winning, we're going to keep playing him, and you just run them dry.
How many coaches understand goaltenders?
Unless they were a goalie. Unless they were a goalie, none.
And there's not many coaches that were former goalies.
Not many. I mean, Pat Roy ran himself out of the league.
Pat Roy.
I know that's so derogatory. I shouldn't say Pat
Roy.
It's something that's said in locker rooms a lot, though. Like it'd be a phrase that'd be utilized if the other team's goalie was playing really well. We're making this guy look like Pat Roy in '92. Like you would hear this a lot in the locker room. That's where it comes from. So no disrespect to the legendary Hall of Famer, 4 Stanley Cup winner Patrick Waugh, who did happen to have 2 Stanley Cup ring plugging my ear and couldn't hear Jeremy Roenick speaking about that scenario. I think you make a plan with your goalies, you stick to it. And it's DeBoer's plan, because we all know that Dave Pryor was the planner of goaltending starts until Pete arrived, and that was that was that.
Do you think there's a laid out plan for that Brossoit and Lehner know? There's, you said you would like to keep it on a schedule, like to, keep it the way it is. Do they know? Do they know going into game whatever that he's going to play this one and then it's going back to Lehner?
Let me say this. I've never known like a mapped out month in advance of my career ever. And I don't think any goalie really does unless they're, I mean, Luongo, okay, like back in the day would say, okay, here's the games I don't want to play. Or not that I don't want to play. These are the games I think I need off. I think it works that you basically tell a guy several days in advance. Okay. So like today's Wednesday, they're playing Minnesota Thursday. Today's practice, I'd be telling Lehner, hey, you're going tomorrow, and then LB is going to go against Vancouver. Like, I think you need to at least give 3 or 4 days heads up on it. And even if you want to extrapolate that out a little bit further, you say, okay, he's going to go against Vancouver. Right now, our plan is that we think he's going to play that game against Columbus, but that could change. And that's the fair way to do it, right? Like to at least kind of show like, hey, we think that we're going to give you this more or less, unless you get hurt or he gets hurt. That's what's going to happen. So a week or so, a couple days, like it's beneficial. It helps. It lets you put your mind at ease in advance.
I remember Malcolm
Golden Knights. That's just.
I remember the first year. Ken Malcolm Subban would tell us that he gets dry. It's dry. He's stale when he doesn't get that game that he's expecting to get over the next 2 weeks, and he doesn't get it. He feels like he's taken a step back.
But I also feel like that you have to understand why they were doing that to him. And that's because Dave Pryor was like, look, I need to get the best out of Marc-Andre Fleury. And if that hurts Malcolm Subban a little bit, I don't really care. I have to get the best out of Marc-Andre Fleury. That's how you end up with trading cards that have 0.877 save percentages on them when goalie coaches don't care about the backup.
Well, here's the thing. Dave Pryor cared a whole lot about Malcolm Subban. He was the only reason Subban was in Vegas.
He cared about keeping him there. He cared about his development, but he did not care to make sure that in every single situation, it was what was best for Malcolm Subban.
It was a very old school approach is what this was. What you're describing is an old school approach that there's a clear-cut starter and backup. The backup's only going to play sparingly. He's going to play whenever we tell him to play, and he needs to be ready. That's the old school mentality. Malcolm Subban was actually a Vegas Golden Knight because of a game I played against him in the Calder Cup playoffs in 2017 when I was with the Syracuse Crunch. Malcolm Subban was not a starter in playoffs for the Providence Bruins any of the years that he played there. Goalies like Zane McIntyre, Jeremy Smith, and no, I take that back. Zane McIntyre, Nicholas Svedberg, Jeremy Smith. Yeah, those three all started over him in playoffs.
And he was a first-round pick.
He did play intermittently. Again, throw that out the window, picks. but it does show though that somebody else was playing. Okay, but they tossed him in for Game 7 against us in Syracuse, and it wasn't Game 7. It was Game 5 because we clobbered him the first 4, and he didn't play. And so they put him in for Game 5, and we won 1-0 or 2-1, I think.
Was good.
And Malcolm played really well that game. But Pryor was there and he just loved him. Yep. And that was that. And like,
was there ever a plan to, now obviously the organization clearly told us it wasn't in their plans, but was the plan for Pryor to, when Fleury retired or moved on, that Malcolm would be the starter?
No idea. Honestly, I couldn't answer that.
That was the plan.
That's something that I haven't spoken with, but you don't bring in a first-round pick that is seen to have otherworldly athletic ability for him to just become a trading chip or an afterthought. Right. So I would have assumed that he was picked up as the project, as being somebody with this sky-high limit. And, it's funny. Like I watch a lot of goalies and I always think like, I could help this guy. Like, I know I could do it. It pains me to watch. Like, play between your posts, rotate, go there, play square, don't get spread. Like, there's so many code words, and it's the goalie coach in me coming out. That it's frustrating. Like, I just wrote a piece on Jonathan Quick, why he's being just killed in one scenario, paddle down on his post in RVH. And Jonathan Quick's got a 924 this year.
It's been great, yeah.
But imagine what he'd have if he could break this terrible habit of his that made him one of the worst goalies in the league the last 2.5 seasons. The team's playing better. It helps. So it's kind of like it's John Gibson in Anaheim. You look at his numbers, he's at like a 927. The traditional numbers look unbelievable. Well, the advanced numbers, he's middle of the pack, if that. And again, you look at Gibson, it's like, you want to beat Gibson? I can tell you how to beat Gibson. Move the puck laterally. He's going to be 3 feet outside of his crease. Then he's going to get spread. So you either put it through him or back the other direction. He's going to be flailing around. Send somebody to the net. If it doesn't go in, you'll pick up a rebound. Like, I love goaltending. I'm sorry. I know I'm on a tangent here.
When you write that story about Quick, and then like, was there ever a time where somebody read that and showed it to him? Like, is that possible?
Maybe. He probably hates Mike hates me now.
Everybody.
And here's the thing, like, and here's
that.
But here's the thing. If he can't look at the article that I wrote and realize that what I'm saying is right and accurate and it's hurting him, then you need to question himself as an athlete and somebody who's willing to get better, because everything I'm writing is real and it would help him to stop doing this.
But like, do you think someone actually brings that, toot your own horn here? Do you think someone will bring that to him? Because I have had ones that I've written that the opposites happen. They come to me and say, that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I know they see them. I know you know Jonathan Quick saw it. Like, I mean,
it's a daily face-off thing, which, I mean, I would have to imagine we're in the packs that are printed off in locker rooms, or used to be. But now we don't kill trees anymore, and not everybody's got a tablet. So
it's friends.
I honestly don't know.
You write something disparaging about a guy, or this is how he can improve, whatever. His friends send it to him and say, look at what this dickhead wrote about you.
Yeah. and here's the thing. It's easy to say, well, what did he ever amount to? Well, not as much as you.
I have a rookie card that I paid $2.50 for.
And here's how people will take that sometimes. They'll take it as me in like this vindictive way, beating up a guy with 2 Stanley Cups, and he's more or less above criticism. And he's not. Like, he was one of the worst goalies in the league the last 2.5 years, and it hurt me to watch this guy who should be a surefire Hall of Famer wither away because he hasn't adapted his game. Like that. And I don't know whether he's tried and just failed at it, but that type of stuff almost kind of insults me when I don't see people working at their craft, because I know how hard I had to work and bust my ass to even get those 35 games,
But he played a lot of hockey during that stretch.
100%. Absolutely.
And so I don't know. I mean, is it years later that it catches up, or is it the next season?
Well, it's, I don't think it's the number of games. I don't think it's wear and tear on the body. I think it's stylistic tendencies and the fact that the game has changed so much in the last 3 to 4 years. The easy thing to say is that he's just slowing down. Like, Marc-Andre Fleury hasn't slowed down at all. At all. Jonathan Quick probably hasn't either. Craig Anderson hasn't slowed down. That's kind of an easy excuse when you just want to look at the topical things for reasoning instead of like really digging in on something and why the game is passing people by. Because there is tangible evidence now that power plays are better than they've ever been. Okay. 2006 power plays were running across the league at like the best power play in the league. I think it was at 22%, 2004. Well, before the lockout, 2004. Come out of the lockout, it's 23%. Now we're running like the top one's running like 28%. Like, it's just
Edmonton's like 50.
That's this season. I'm talking full seasons, right? The last full season.
They're finishing at least 46.
Right? They're going to set the record. Like,
they're unreal.
McDavid has a point in every game this year.
He's ridiculous.
Mike, speaking of that, how would you stop that goal? Explain to me how, as a goalie, you would attempt to stop that goal the other night.
When he hit the go button at the blue line and went through everybody, it's a really hard goal to read and a hard play to play against, because he's stick handling so quickly, but he's doing it through bodies and through sticks. And what you really can't read is where that release is going to come from, because all the noise, like if somebody's just coming at you alone and you only have their stick blade to worry about, it's pretty easy to understand where the puck's probably going to be released from, and you can get square to it. But McDavid moves the puck so quickly that you're playing catch up in the first place. And then when you get other sticks swiping at it, it can change that angle. like you're kind of just hoping, man. Like, I mean, it's as
That's what
simple
I'm
as
saying.
that.
Throw your stick at him. 2-pad stack.
There weren't
Just
many
look cool.
players. Not many players made me nervous. I never got a game against McDavid, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, I got most of the big guys in the league. I never played against McDavid. By the end of my career, Ovi didn't make me nervous. I knew what he was doing. I knew how to make saves on him. No worse than anybody else. Carlson hurt worse than Ovi. And Jeff Petrie, that's a guy who hurt me. I had no idea Jeff Petrie could shoot the puck. Like, that guy's got an absolute missile. Like, he clapped a one-timer on me in Montreal on Hockey Night in Canada. I thought that my collarbone was in 8 pieces. And then there was a rebound right after it, and I'm shell-shocked. Bang! And then it's I got somehow like saved a rebound. I remember thinking, like, I may not get off the ice. And that's so rare. Like, because most of the guys now, there are very few guys that can't shoot a puck 95 miles an hour minimum. Like, with the way the stick technology is and the training, almost everybody can shoot 95, almost 100 miles an hour. But then you get the guys like Petrie and Weber and Martin Ferk in LA. Yeah. He's in Ontario now, but he set the record at the AHL All-Star game, 109.2. I got to call that. Colin Miller shot 104.5 at the American League All-Star game one year. I remember him in Manchester.
You ever get hit by a Brad Hunt shot?
Brad Hunt.
Brad Hunt had he broke a pane of glass behind the goal, and it's
you got to pop it in the right place for that.
Brad Hunt's the best. You give Brad. Do not say a negative thing about Brad Hunt. I will.
Funniest thing to me is that, like, I've skated with Hunt previously, like in preseason. I think when he was with St. Louis's organization, I think, but I used to play hockey in town in St. Louis with a guy named Brad Junt. And Brad Junt was from like South County, which is like the most Hoosier area of St. Louis, which nobody knows what a Hoosier is. That's like redneck, like that's term for redneck, okay? Or hillbilly. And you hear these people say his name, and it was like Brad Junt. And then like we heard somebody say that once around this rink, which was all American inline arena. It was roller hockey. It's the same place Pat Maroon grew up playing. And this guy, it just trailed him forever. He was just Brad Junt to everybody in town for like the rest of his life. Brad Junt. And now when I see Brad Hunt, all I could think of was Brad Hunt. It's only funny to me, I'm sure. But this has been a great hour.
By the way, do you remember that Dylan Ferguson played against Connor McDavid, gave up a goal, and they took it back?
Yep.
That was a great moment. Yeah. Gave up a goal, and they said, that's too mean. We're not going to do that. No goal. There was no reason to wave it off. They just made up some rule, like something about grabbing a visor or something.
Yeah. So like he wasn't even wearing his own pads. So Ferguson was drafted by the Dallas Stars.
Yes.
And I remember hearing this story from my goalie coach in Dallas, Jim Bedard, that they draft him. And Jimmy Bedard's on the phone with him, like, "Hey, son, congratulations. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to work on this stuff." And like in the same instance, he gets a call from the GM. I can't remember whether it was Jim got it or Ferguson, but it was literally, "Hey, I got to take this call real quick." "Oh, I'm sorry to tell you, but congratulations, I guess. We've just traded you to the Golden Knights."
For Mark Mathot.
Oh, Mark Mathot, right.
Yeah, who's, by the way, Mathot, awesome guy. But yeah, Jim Bedard was on the phone with Ferguson, welcoming to the organization, and he gets the call, and he had to give him the news that, "Hey, we've traded you to the Golden Knights." Like 20 minutes after he's drafted, or whatever, a couple hours.
Dylan's an awesome kid. Mark Mathot's part of the Missing Finger Club.
Yeah, him, Paul Cavallini, a couple others, pretty gross. Yeah.
Mark Mathot. Mine was a table saw, not hockey. Let's end on this question. Hey, guys, can you talk about why guys like Carrier, Noshik, and a ton of other fourth liners are never going to score more than a handful of goals each? What are the missing ingredients?
Tomas Nosik's not missing the ingredients. He was missing the opportunity.
Right, and he's getting it.
And I mean, he's got 1 goal in the year, but last year in an elevated role, 38 games, had 8 goals. If you take that out to 82 games, he may have been a 15, 20 goal scorer in the league. Nosek has some skill. He was 15 goal scorer in the American Hockey League. What these types of players really lack is true finishing ability. And it's not just that, like, I mean, everybody can shoot the puck. Like if you go to a practice and you put 10 pucks on the ice and you let Ryan Reeves shoot it from the hash marks and you've never seen somebody shoot a puck up close, you're still going to go, holy shit, that's coming fast. But the accuracy isn't there. The other players, the ability to get into open spaces and get your stick blade open. My goal scoring idol as a kid was Brett Hull with the St. Louis Blues, and nobody got open better than Brett Hull. He'd just get lost in the offensive zone. He'd find the right area, that soft area on the ice, and the puck would be on and off his blade. He was so good at that. And like Carrier, that's not what he does. He's just bulldozer, drive the net. And like Nosik's got some game sense, but he's not a great finisher. And Ryan Reeves is a very tough man. So, like he doesn't have the finishing ability either, unless you're tipping pucks in front and banging home rebounds. Simple as that.
Doesn't even do that. But okay, keep going.
Yeah. So I think you can really look at past history of players to see what you can project at. If somebody's been a point a game player in the American Hockey League and scored 20, 30 goals, there's a decent chance that they're going to replicate that at about a 2/3 scale in the NHL sometimes. Okay.
But wasn't that Carrier?
Yes.
Carrier, not at the American League.
Okay. I thought he was relatively offensive.
Well, he was an early pick, but he was offensive in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. And even then, he was never a pure goal scorer. He's an interesting draft pick. Look at it now. He went second round, 57th, 2013. And he scored 16 goals that year in the Quebec League in 34 games. So some of it was there, but it was grinder style. Like to really score in the NHL.
Points in 127 games in the A.
Yeah. Like I played against him when he was in Roch, and I remember him being just a worker bee, which is what he is. And that's not a slag, man. I love Will Carrier in the fourth line on the left side. I mean, at third line, he can do that a little bit too. But I don't ever see him being a 10-plus goal guy a year. He just doesn't have that natural goal scoring ability. Kolesar isn't going to eclipse. And I noticed this when I skated with him. He just has zero finishing ability. If he can ever be in a role where he'll play net front on the power play, that's where I think you could see Kolesar expand his goal scoring, because he is such a wide frame. He does have a long reach. I just don't see that now. I'm actually shocked that Kolesar is considered a third line player. I think he's a fourth line player to me. Yep. So, but he is from Brandon, Manitoba.
Very important.
So that helps his stock quite a bit.
Very important.
Yeah. So I think that the one thing about Kolesar that you can't underestimate, though, is the positive effect he has. Like line mates, locker room. There's guys that'll go through a wall for him. They love how he plays. And I know that we always look at analytics and everything, but he's the real deal when it comes to that. His teammates love the guy. So I don't know how high that's going to go.
How big is Brandon? Did everybody move to Vegas? I mean, it can't be a big city.
Well,
yeah, let's see.
It's I don't know. I've never been there. I don't really want to go there. I've been to Winnipeg before, and I actually have had fun in Winnipeg. But
58,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You get
so yeah, 18% of them play for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Up there in Manitoba, man. You can watch your dog run away for 4 days. It's
my
flat.
dog running away. I don't want my dog. Why is he running away?
Yeah,
I got treats.
No, I think.
Man, you pissed off some Hoosiers, huh?
Mm-hmm. I think Cole's. Did you ever hear that when you were at Mizzou?
No, not Hoosier, redneck more. Which I don't. That terms we're probably going to get in trouble for that. No, not that one. Where's the other one? Oh yeah, this one was making fun of you on missile again. You are not from Canada. Stop saying missile. No, we actually, while I was at Missouri,
I'm aware that Indiana is Hoosiers, by the way. I go to Indianapolis every May for the Indianapolis 500. I know that is not a derogatory term in Indiana.
Wow, what a cool event to go to.
Talk. No, when I was at Missouri, we came up with our own term because they call in the Missouri fight song, they use the term every true son. So we call them Trusons. People from rural Trusons, them Trusons out there, they're gonna come up here and tell us how to play them footballs. that's the Trusons. You would not be a Truson, as you are from one of the other 2 cities that would qualify you as not being a Truson.
Yeah, man, I'm just some bougie suburban kid.
Yeah, very much. Except it's 10:19 where you are right now. So in St. Louis, you are way up past your bedtime.
I am. And I've got a nice article to finish up about the St. Louis Warriors this evening. So
nice.
I would actually, this is the one time where I would really like to, people that are watching, when that goes out tomorrow, I'd like people to read it because it's near and dear to my heart with the Warrior program and the Vegas Veterans hockey team there. Could use support just as much as the St. Louis ones. So check them out. You
hear that, folks. 9 people that are still listening, all 9 of you will read this article. We every once in a while at the end of these shows, we just demand people do stuff because it's like, you sat through our bullshit for this long. We entertained you. I put that in quotes because it's definitely not happening. People just don't know what else to do with their time, so they watch us. I still can't figure it out. We yell at them like, you must go to Legacy Sports Cards and pick up one of these fine bingo cards over here. Look at this. Got my bingo card. Still haven't said the magic word. One of these days you're going to say it. I'm surprised more people have not yelled at you. Cornstalker is back. Where do we find your article? Of course, dailyfaceoff.com.
That's it. That's right. Or on any of my socials at Mike McKenna 56.
We're going to need to make some sort of Mike McKenna NFT that I can buy as well, because I feel like if we just buy up all the cards on, and I'm going to do it, I will own every card on eBay by the end of the year. We will no longer, the Jimerson law firm suddenly doesn't pay us in money anymore. They only pay us in
Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin.
So you just keep that towel is always there. So that's always. I guess that means the show is over. Thanks again to the Jimerson law firm for sponsoring all of Goalie Interference, as ridiculous as it gets. Shout out to Molly Binball. We talked about Binball last time. Molly, you're the best. Molly runs Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southern Nevada. Amazing. They raise a ton of money.
Favorite groups to ever work with.
Oh, you got to come to Binball next year then. We raise about $15,000 every year for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Let's do it. Let's do it at the live show.
I have a Binball right here.
There it is.
There you go. All right. That's it. The show is over. We ran over too long.
Real quick. John Merrill just scored a beautiful shot from the point. It's 4-1 Minnesota.
Mustache, mullet. What a way to end.
The scooter. Come on, give us a Macho Man. Get us out of here.
Oh, Mike. Yeah. The show's over. The cream has risen to the top.